Hey, Lindsay, how are you?
I'm doing good, Aubrey. How are you?
Excellent. How's my light? I'm not washed out, am I?
Not too bad today,
I
but
can
I
turn it
know
up and then it might be, oh, yep, there. Okay, that's washed out. Let's turn
oh,
it back
yep.
down.
I know if we go back through our YouTube channel, which we can encourage our listeners to do this and hit the subscribe button while they're over there. I know I've been very washed out in a lot of videos over the years. I can never
It
get
happens.
lighting right, Aubrey. I can't get it right. It's so hard.
Right, we're trying to get a good contrast so it looks good for you guys, but sometimes that happens. Our light's either too bright or not bright enough.
It's
We're
really a
doing our best.
challenge. Yeah, we're doing our best. Aubrey, what are we getting into today?
Yeah, we did a recent episode with phrasal verbs with wash, right? Wash away, wash over. And we promised this follow up because wash out has 4 different meanings. So
Oh
stay
my
to the
gosh.
end. We'll share the episode for that other one if you missed it.
Yeah.
You can definitely listen to these out of order. Today we're diving into wash out.
Yeah. And I love when we go into one single word in an episode, but the many things it can mean. Okay.
Yes, especially with phrasal verbs, this happens a lot. We use it so
Yes.
many different
We're
ways.
going to bring out the nuance in English for our high level listeners here. Really great at the B2, C1 level. If you're ready to start expressing nuances, this is the place to be. Aubrey, where is the place to be to deepen your vocabulary, though?
Yes, if you guys don't have the app, you need the All Ears English app. This is the best way to follow along with the transcripts, add vocabulary words to your personal power list. So if you don't have it, go to allearsenglish.com/app, APP. We have it for both iOS and Android. It's the best way to listen to the podcast.
And it's also currently the best way to search for episodes because every single episode of All Ears English is in the app, right? So it's the place to go if you're wondering how to search for a specific episode,
Yes,
right?
for keywords or numbers, you can find episodes
Mhm.
in our archives. That is very difficult to do in your podcast player. You're like
Yeah.
scrolling back and back and back and back. We have
Ugh.
a lot of episodes here.
That's true. So go check out the app at allearsenglish.com/app. Okay. So getting into wash out, Aubrey. Oh my gosh. There are 4 meanings we're going to go through today. I love
Yes.
that.
And the first one is what we were talking about at the top of the episode for something to become indistinct or less clear, often because the light is washing out the image. And it's
Mhm.
interesting, this has become more important as people care about selfies and influencers but everybody is wanting their photos to look good for social media.
Yes, of course. So the kind of light you have matters. Are you backlit? What's going on? So for example, this lighting is washing us out, right?
Yeah, it would mean like you almost can't see us because the light is
Yeah.
making our faces too bright, right?
Yeah.
Or the fluorescent lights in our office wash everyone out, right? If we're going to take a
Mhm.
photo, let's go outside. The sunlight, the daylight would be better.
Yeah, natural light. That's why I loved filming the Connected Communicator course because you can spend all day inside trying to get perfect lighting. But then if you just go outside, especially around golden hour in the morning or the evening, the light is
Absolutely.
unbelievable. So taking these natural shots and natural video outdoors is the best.
Exactly, right? My
Mhm.
dad, he's an oil painter and he often will photograph his paintings outside in the natural light
Mm,
because A, it's so expensive to get studio light and just natural daylight is usually as good or better.
exactly. And I just want to add one little asterisk here. Sometimes we say something like, you're a ghost, right? We might say something like that. Am I a ghost right now? Right. That kind of thing.
Yeah, if the
Is
light is, like, really washing us out so where you can't even see someone's eyes anymore.
Yeah. Yeah. That's just another way of saying the same thing. So we add that to our vocabulary. Aubrey, what's another thing that wash out means?
Alright, so it also means to remove by washing. So, for example, if you spill something on your clothing, you might ask someone, "Were you able to wash that stain out of your shirt?" Right? You can
Yeah.
wash something out of something else.
Aubrey, are you someone that spills food often on your clothing? Some people tend to do this a lot.
I used to do this much at work a lot when I was pregnant, I think because I had my
Ah,
pregnant belly, and so anything would
oh
drop would hit
no.
my stomach instead of, like, the ground. Not so bad anymore.
That's so funny. I love that. All right, good stuff. Or another sample sentence is, can you wash out this bottle before putting it into the recycling, please? So it's a nice thing to do to
Exactly.
get the food out of there,
Yeah,
right?
I don't know about you, but in Phoenix, you have to, or they just reject
Mm,
it. You can't
really?
recycle glass or plastic unless it's totally washed out.
No, we don't like well, I
Mm.
I think you're supposed to here, but I watched the trash guy come by and they use a little robot arm. They
Oh,
don't even get
interesting.
out of the truck. They just stop and then the robot comes down, grabs the garbage can or the recycling bin and just throws it into the back of the Truck.
Yeah, so I'm curious if it's the same in Colorado when they've sort of let us know more about the policies because they stopped recycling glass. They said
Yeah.
because people aren't washing it out, and they
Mm.
said you have to rinse plastic, you have to rinse glass. So same thing, the arm just takes the recycling, and I
Uh-huh.
don't see them reject it, but when they get it to the
They
recycling
do.
center, they're rejecting anything that's not washed out. So you should find
Oh,
out. It might be
that's
necessary to
interesting.
be washing that stuff out.
Yeah, 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 for sure. We gotta get on
Crazy.
that. Good to know.
Yeah. Good reminder.
Good to know. Aubrey, what's number 3? Another way we use
Yes.
washout.
So number 3 is to damage with water, right? So for example, the flood
Mm.
washed out 2 bridges, right? So we'll say
Mm.
if something is damaged, this might be a coastline, a bridge, a road. We'll say it was washed out if a part of it was damaged and washed away.
Or during the storm, a road was washed out by heavy rain. Yeah, so water can be very damaging. Water is very powerful, right? Uh,
Absolutely, exactly, right? Floods, heavy rains. This happens a lot in California, mudslides, coastlines. Houses will get like washed away when the land under them is washed out.
yeah, we had some really bad flooding last year in North Carolina,
Mm.
right? Tennessee area always seems to get a lot of flooding. So yeah, we got to watch out for that
Yeah,
for
we
sure.
have flash floods here in Arizona. If
You
there's
do.
heavy rains out of nowhere, there
Hmm.
are these washes, and it'll just be like this thundering river will come out of nowhere. And a lot of people have died actually being caught in a flash flood. They'll be hiking in a wash and not
Oh,
realize it, and then out of nowhere just get washed away by this flood
oh,
water.
that's not
Awful.
a that's
It's
terrifying. Oh my
very
goodness.
terrifying. Yeah,
Yeah. Wow, the West is kind of crazy.
it is. It's dangerous out
It's
here.
dangerous out here. All right, and the fourth way we can use this is to fail to meet a requirement, being eliminated from a process. So, for example, he wanted to join the Marines but washed out after a few weeks of boot camp. So, this one I'm not as used to.
Oh, no? Yeah,
Yeah,
so this is
yeah.
interesting. You will hear it a lot on TV shows, movies,
Mm,
when someone has joined the Army, the Marines, some
okay.
military especially,
Hmm.
the Coast Guard. If they aren't able to complete the training, they'll say they washed out, and they'll use it
Uh,
as a noun too and call someone a washout. It's very
oh,
negative and cruel, really, because
yeah,
for whatever reason, someone was not able to complete the training. I'm sure there are a lot of different reasons that could happen.
I
There are
see.
certainly nicer ways to say this, right?
Sure.
This is
Yes.
a more negative, critical way to say it.
Yeah, you could say he chose not to continue or something
Exactly.
like that.
But
What would be a
also like
second example?
internships, right? It's not just
Mm.
about military. You might say, I was an intern for 2 months before I washed out. It was really long
Mhm.
hours and I couldn't hack it. Just means you didn't complete the program.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of industries are really tough, like the legal industry. Maybe you worked as a paralegal and you realized it just wasn't for you, or maybe you worked on the floor of Wall Street, the stock market. Very intense jobs,
Yeah,
right?
you could say this just if someone starts like a university degree and, it wouldn't be the same if they like switch to a different degree. If they stop entirely and don't finish, you could say, or they could say about themselves, I washed out, right?
Mm,
But just keep in mind that this isn't a polite thing to say about someone. It could cause offense to say
okay.
about someone else or to someone that they washed out. Because if you think about it, it's a type of failure, which of course is not a kind thing to highlight.
Absolutely. Good to
Yeah.
know. Good to know. Okay, Aubrey, let's do one of our signature role plays. I know that our listeners love it. So here, Aubrey, we are friends meeting for coffee. Sounds
All right.
good. I
Yeah,
would
I'll
get an
start us
iced
out.
coffee today for sure. It's pretty hot
Oh,
out.
yeah. Same. It is. It's warm here as well. Summer's coming. All
Yes, yes. All
right.
right.
We should take a photo. We'll have to do it outside, though. The light in here is washing us out.
How's your family? Were they affected by the flooding in California?
Yes, there was a mudslide behind my aunt's house and it washed out part of their road.
Oh no, I'm sorry to hear that.
Yeah, they've really been having a tough year. Their son, my cousin, joined the Air Force, but then washed out after a few months.
It happens. I think the training programs are just so tough.
For sure. Oh no, I spilled coffee on my shirt. Hopefully it'll wash out.
Nice. Wow.
Use
You
them
managed to
all.
get all of these in here. Very creative. Creative. I love it. Great. So first you said, Aubrey, we should take a photo, but we have to go outside because the light inside is washing us out.
Yeah, so maybe we went to try and take a selfie and it's just like too bright on our faces,
Ye-
so we're like, let's go out and get some daylight for a better photo.
Yep. And then what, Aubrey?
And then I said I was talking about this mudslide in California that washed out my
Mhm.
aunt's road.
Mm.
I'm trying not to say aunt, but normally I would say aunt. Do you say
Oh,
aunt or
you can
aunt?
say,
I've never
remember we've said on
noticed.
the show that you could say either one,
I
that
know
you
you
can
can say
choose.
either. I kind of go back and forth.
I think it is a regional thing. I've asked, so I grew up saying aunt. My niece says aunt or auntie to me,
Oh,
and
cute.
they're on the East Coast, and my friends on the East Coast will say aunt. It's a little more, I don't know, the East Coast is kind of like traditional or something.
Yes. It
But then
reminds me of The
everyone,
Parent Trap with Haley
yeah.
Mills. Haley Mills, did you ever see
Ah,
that? And
yeah.
they're these twins, but they're split, and one goes to California, one's on the East Coast, and she's,
Ah.
like, talking to her about saying aunt instead of aunt, and she's like,
Oh, that's
"You
so funny.
shan't say aunt to any
Oh.
debutantes," or something. She's, like, trying to help her remember to say aunt. It's
Oh,
funny.
that's hilarious. I love that. I love that. I'll have to check out that clip. Good stuff.
Yes, for sure. All right, what else did we have here? I think then I said, my cousin had joined the Air Force and washed out. So this would mean he didn't complete his training. You will hear people say this way, and I do hear
Mhm.
it on TV, right? It's pretty common, at least here in the West. But even
Mhm.
saying that, I kind of felt mean. I'm like, "Oh, my poor cousin. That's not a very kind
Yeah,
thing to
it
say."
'cause it kind of has a connotation that he couldn't handle it.
Right,
Like,
exactly.
all the work just ripped through and he just couldn't handle it in a sense, right?
Exactly. So it would be more kind to just say he decided to do something, like say what he went to do instead, or he didn't finish the program,
Mhm.
opted for something else, and kind of spin it more positively.
Yeah, you can always spin things for
Yeah,
sure.
for sure.
And then finally, you said for sure, "Oh no, I spilled my coffee on my shirt. Hopefully it'll wash out." So now you're looking down at your shirt and you're kind of maybe trying to wash it out with a napkin
Yeah,
or
maybe the
something.
water on the table.
Right, 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 right. Dip your napkin in the water, try to wash it out, right? Hopefully it'll wash out.
Exactly. So many meanings for washout. And
Yes.
what's really crazy is there are so many phrasal verbs with the verb wash. We covered 5 of them in episode 2415. So if you missed that, scroll up, check it out. It was 5 phrasal verbs to wash away English stress.
All right, good. And what's our final takeaway for our listeners when it comes to connection?
Yeah, phrasal verbs can help you be more precise in English.
Yes.
If
Mhm.
you are wanting specific meanings, and phrasal verbs are often idiomatic as well. So
Yeah.
the more you're learning these phrasal verbs, the more you can convey the exact meaning you want.
Yes, and use this as an example, a template. Think about what other phrasal verbs you might know that might have many different meanings. If there's one that keeps coming up in your mind, send us an email. Support@allearsenglish.com. We'll cover that phrasal verb and we'll show you all the different meanings for it. Okay.
Absolutely. We would love
All
to.
right. Excellent. There we go. Aubrey, see you very soon. Have a good day.
Yes, awesome. See you next time.
Bye.
Bye.